Assalamu alaikum ji. My name is Faisaliya Khan. I'm a visiting faculty member for Public Relations course. I'll be discussing public relations field as a whole, and then we'll discuss persuasion as part of public relations. What is persuasion and what is its role within the field of public relations? We'll first discuss what is public relations. It is a planned, sustained, and evaluation process which, by means of two-way communication, seeks to build mutually beneficial relation between organizations and its public. Now, let me first define what public is in terms of public relations. It is your customers, your clients, your vendors, your management, your employees, even the government, anyone who's related with the organization and its product. We would define they all come under the public domain. In simpler terms, public relation is the process of maintaining organization and its product's favorable image and building beneficial relation between an organization and its public. Unlike advertising, which tries to create favorable impressions through paid messages, public relations field does not pay for any attention and publicity. It includes policy formation, programming, communication, and feedback from its customers. We must understand that public relation domains is working on different levels of the organization. They're not only working at low levels, but they're also uh, working as advisors to their top management, guiding them on policy formulations. In continuation of the PR domain, we need to try to understand public relations and differentiate between public relations and advertising. Advertising, as we all know, is a paid form of communication, whether it's buying time and space in terms uh, in print media, in electronic media, or even in digital media. Organizations and even individuals contract to purchase space and time, whereas as advertising is concerned, whatever is broadcasted or printed for the organization and its product, uh, it is paid for, and whatever the organization wants, it is printed and broadcasted in the similar manner in which the organization wanted it. Whereas in public relations domain, the news and stories, whatever they is broadcasted for the company and its product, it may not be a favorable one. It may not be what the organization wanted. The media, the newspapers, and the broadcasted medium, they may print good, bad, and different stories, whatever they feel like. So you can't control uh, publicity or public relations stories that are printed for your company and your product. There is no guarantee that organizations' news releases will be used or will appear in the same form in which they were prepared and broadcasted. Now let me discuss persuasion, which is the main topic that we chose to discuss. What is persuasion? It is defined as a communication to influence choices. It is a process that changes your attitude, your beliefs, in your opinions or behaviors about a product or a service or an individual. For example, an individual may have a negative or neutral opinion about a certain product or an individual, and if someone tries to change or influence that opinion, it would be categorized as part of persuasion. In simpler terms, when people try to influence and convince others to buy or like a product, it is categorized as persuasion. Then persuasion is used for three different levels. One is when you're trying to change or neutralize a negative or a hostile opinion. Like, for example, if I'm trying to convince someone who may not like a product, if I'm trying to convince that person to like or buy a product, it would be changing or neutralizing the hostile opinion. Then there are dormant or latent opinions, which, in terms of persuasion, when we're trying to improve that is categorized as crystallizing latent opinions and positive attitudes. The third thing is conserving favorable opinions, which means like you already have a favorable opinion about a product or a thing, and then I'm making it more. I'm convincing you more to like that product or that service. Then, in continuation of the persuasion, we'll study seven different factors used in terms of persuasive communication. One is audience analysis. When we're discussing persuasion, When we're trying to persuade someone, we need to do the analysis of the audience. What is my audience? Who are the people I'm trying to convince? Secondly, when we're discussing persuasion, so I was discussing factors in persuasive communication. We discussed audience analysis. Secondly, the factor that is used in persuasive communication is source credibility. The message is more believable to be inherited by the audience if the source which is giving the message or which is which is um, requesting others to persuade if it's credible. So there are three main factors considered in source credibility. One is if the person who is an expert in that field, if he or she is trying to persuade someone, and if he's an expert in that field, so we will be able to he will be able to persuade others easily. Then if we know that the person who is uh, trying to persuade is sincere, he or she knows is believed to be uh, is sincere, then people will be more persuaded easily. And then the third factor that is used in persuasive communication is appeal to self-interest. People get involved in issues or pay attention to messages that appeal to their economic or psychic needs. If one is interested in if one wants to believe in what is being said, he or she will be easily persuaded. Then the fourth thing is clarity of message. Majority we have seen that majority of messages fail because the audience finds the language too complex or unclear. Then, if the fifth part is the timing and context of the message, organizations and individuals are they find it easy to persuade the audience if they follow the correct timing and context. The sixth thing that is sixth factor that is used in persuasive communication is the content and structure of the message. If it is clear, people can get the message easily, then they will be persuaded easily. There's a seventh factor used in persuasive communication, which is persuasive speaking. Psychologists have found that speakers use several persuasion techniques. However, it should be noted that a persuasive speaker gives all sides of the issue and is only then considered to be objective. The devices often used by persuasive speakers are like they number one, like if they ask for more, like they want to say that I want to and then they settle for less. Then sometimes people who are trying to persuade others, if they use partial commitment, they would say yes to things that are like half what they initially intended. And then there's another technique which is yes yes, and then structured choices. So these are the seven factors that we have discussed in persuasive communication. I hope gives you a clears your mind about persuasion in public relations.